Harry Bosch has been a part of your life now for 15 years?
10 years. Coming up on 11 if we get to go again. Yeah, and now they've spun off a new show with Maggie Q, Ballard.
Yeah.
Which is exciting. So we introduced her in the 10th episode of this season we just completed, and I'm going to go and shoot with Maggie on her show Thursday and Friday of this week. So I'll kind of go and do. Sorry, I keep dabbing myself. My air conditioner is out, and I live on the top of Topanga, so I'm in a sauna.
You're in a yeah. We no worries. We had the air conditioning go out at our place here in Portland when it was like 98 degrees.
Oh, no.
And all our bedrooms are upstairs and both of our kids were up there. And I was like, I don't know how we're going to sleep. This is insane. It's so hot.
What'd you guys do?
We opened all the windows, put fans like right on the kids and put them to bed in like as little clothing as they would sleep in.
Yeah.
And they seemed okay. I think I was probably the hottest because I'm like perimenopausal, and I was like, why am I flat-footing in the middle of the night? This is awful.
That's so I haven't been there, but I've been there with my wife, and I know how that goes. It's just
God,
horribly uncomfortable.
It is. And we did so many egg retrievals to have our babies that I'm going through it much earlier than I would have normally.
Yeah.
And so, it's, the thick of it. It's super fun.
Oh, I'm sorry. It too shall pass.
This is what my mother-in-law says to me. What made you go back to Bosch? I mean, this is a character that how did the character originally come to you? Were you a fan of the books? Like how did that, walk me through that?
Well, I had read one of the books a million years before I ever got the script. And I got sent the script. I read it in, minutes flat. I couldn't, it was a real page turner. And I thought this character is perfect for me. I know exactly who this guy is, but I knew that they were going to play the big Hollywood name game. So I didn't, because after doing this for a while, you have enough sense to be able to have, to do your work, but to be able to have enough detachment that it doesn't, completely blow your mind if it doesn't happen. Right. And in the interim, I was cast in one of the Transformers films, and I was kind of traveling all over the place for 6 months. And through a series of mishaps, I kept missing the meetings. One time I lost my phone. I was on the train. I had to get off the train. Anyway, long and short of it, I got a call months later from my manager, and he said, you're back from Hong Kong for a couple of days, and Michael Connelly and the producers are in LA. So you're going to have the meeting. And I thought, I said, have they not cast that? And he said, no, they're actually literally considering kind of shutting it all down and regrouping because they haven't found Bosch, and Michael Connelly has approval, and he hasn't met Bosch yet. So I went in still, very, very trepidatious. And we met and had the meeting and did all that. And it was about 10 minutes after the meeting, I was driving down Sunset and my phone rang, and it was my manager. And I was like, hey, and he went, is this Detective Harry Bosch? And I went, huh? He said, yeah, I'm talking to Harry Bosch. And I said, what are you talking about? And he went, you got it. And I went, wait, almost crashed my car. I pulled over to the side of the street screaming like, I'd just gotten my, the most cookie sales in the Girl Scouts. And I just was beside myself. But the thing that has maintained, my interest in this character is that it's a deeply nuanced and complex character. And despite the fact that through the series of books, he doesn't necessarily evolve all that much emotionally. There's a real journey there with the character. And so he sort of evolves within the circumstances in which he finds himself. And we have an amazing group of writers, and Michael Connelly has been there throughout writing. He and I have written scripts together. They assembled a really, really strong cast. And it may sound cliche, but I go to work with a smile on my face every day because I know that what I'm going to get to do is, work that I'm proud of. I get to work with these great people and the fan base, which came initially from the books. And, he sells a gazillion copies. They're hugely popular.
Yeah.
Which of course is the $1 million question when you take on a character like that. Is there any apprehension about that? And to be honest, because I'm a reader and I do that, I have that same kind of prejudice. If I read a book, I always go into that place in my head. Well, if I was going to cast this, as a film, who would I, and then sometimes you see the person, you go, that's spot on, and then, or they're not. But I just kind of went straight ahead, and we didn't really change anything. We had to change the time period because in the books he's a Vietnam veteran and he's now in his 70s. So we moved it ahead and had his military service in having joined the military when he was 18, served in the first Gulf War, and then after 9/11 he re-enlists and goes back while he's active in the police force, which a lot of cops did. Because I felt strongly about maintaining that, which is at the core of who he is he's an SF guy, and so that's a long-winded answer. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I find it so intriguing. What was it about him? You said that you immediately understood him as a character. What was it about him that you understood so clearly that you felt you could portray him right off the bat?
Well, I have a lot of trauma and loss in my background, in my life. I lost 3 siblings. My late wife, Beth, passed away from cancer. And there's a lot of that exists within Harry, and it's very subterranean. He's a guy. The difference is that, I found a good talking doctor to try my best to sort of work through it, where he's a barrier, but I understood that aspect of carrying all of that pain. He lost his mother when he was a little boy, and he grew up in the foster care system, which at that time was, somewhat, horrible. Not all cases, but he was in the McLaren Boys Home, which has has a reputation of being draconian. Right. But also he's a quintessential anti-hero. And I think, any character that's kind of somewhere in the middle, he has a flawless moral compass. He would never, beat a confession out of someone or plant evidence on someone to get an arrest. He'll work around things within the system. And then there's the relationship that he has with his daughter, which really became pushed more to the front when we cast Madison Lintz. She's grown up on our show. She was 13 when she first came on.
She was on the original Bosch, and now she's on Legacy.
Yeah, and that relationship that we created is very, very heavily protected by me, and I sort of created a bubble around us because I felt that it was important to protect that, so she was not pushed into doing anything that was cliche or contrived. Too often we see those relationships, and this is a very complex relationship, and so that really informed a lot of. That was the only way to really get into Harry's emotional world. That's when he's vulnerable, is with his kid, and so we were able to kind of bring out some of that stuff that he would never talk about with anyone else. And it's just made for some really interesting stuff to do.